but that's what I spent all my money on, and so basically was broke. But I bought a business. Life is a learning process. I am trying to learn something every day.
Welcome to another episode of the Michael Maloney Show, where we take you on a journey around the world, exploring the stories of successful individuals and learning from their achievements and struggles. Join us as we delve into the why and how behind their accomplishments and discover how to live a more fulfilling life. Hello, today I have with me the great Curt McCallum. I met Curt. What's up, Curt?
Hey, Michael.
We were just talking before we started recording here, and neither one of us had the best remembrance of when we met each other, but it's probably been at least 3 or 4 years ago. What do you say?
I think so, yeah.
Because, like I also said in the pre-recording, I've been following you for multiple years. So Curt lives in the local community that I'm in here in Cedar Falls, Iowa, and he runs fish window cleaning. And I think we got it down to, I think either I asked him for a business card or he asked me for a business card at one of the job sites, like we talked about, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
And the interesting thing is we both were in very similar positions at that time. I had just been in my business for a couple years. And at that time, it's hard to know exactly when we met each other, but how long have you been in business, Curt?
I've got 7 years under my belt. This is year number 8.
Wow, so it has been. It might have been 5 or 6 years ago, because I think when we first met, it was like, I remember asking you, like, so how'd you get into it? And then you told me that Fish was a franchise that you purchased for the area, and how all that worked. Curt, just so you know, this podcast is all about just kind of bringing awareness to how business people and high performers just do their life, why they do it, how they do it, and all that good stuff. So I'm just going to ask a few questions here, and we'll just dive right into it.
Sounds good.
So how has business been for you since you said 7, 8 years? How has it been going?
I've grown every year other than 2020. But then, 2021 came back with a vengeance. COVID knocked everything down. I still had, it wasn't my very worst year, like my first year.
Sure.
But it was still a good year, and I was able to stay open during COVID. So
did COVID bring any additional business? Like, was there, like you said, it shut down for a while, but then after, like, once stuff started opening, like, did you have to like add any services, like extra sanitation or anything?
I stuck to window cleaning, pressure washing, and gutter cleaning. So, I had to justify to people that the detergent we use is top rated by the CDC. Denatures the lipid protein in the virus shell, causing it to become inactive. But some people, if it doesn't matter what you tell them, they're just, scared.
Sure. Okay. So it took a hit, but overall, the last 7, 8 years have been pretty good. I mean, you've moved to a new office building now, haven't you?
I did. I moved across and up the street. I needed more space, and the landlord had another place come available, and so I jumped on it.
Awesome. No, I saw that you moved, and at the same time, over the years, I've seen more fish window cleaning vehicles around, and you can tell that you're really scaling. So that's awesome. It seems being in the lawn care industry, window cleaning, janitorial services, it's just kind of like one category over. I've always had my eyes on it, and there's a lot of people that do very well in it. So kudos to you for biting into that and running with it. Yep. What made you interested in starting the business in the first place?
I sold cars. I was at a car dealership for over 15 years. And about, I don't know, year 12 or 13, I started, wondering what I was doing here, why I was working every weekend and every night, 13, 14, 15 hours a day, and didn't have time to do what I wanted. So I asked a friend of mine, Joel Moorhead. He used to own Budget Blinds. He's since sold it and moved away.
Okay.
I asked him how he got into owning his own business, and so he gave me a couple of people's phone numbers, and one guy got back with me and presented me with several opportunities, and so I looked at several opportunities or franchises, and Fish I thought had the right writing on the wall.
Awesome.
So
So you said you sold cars for like 15 years or so.
yep, yep.
Um, how long before you made the decision to, you know, just taking the time to like ask somebody for phone numbers or call the people to get the franchise information, like that in itself took some decision making. Like,
Oh yeah, at 50
and
years
some,
old, I took a leap of faith and just quit where I was, had a good job, and just bought a franchise. And so if I turned the computer, I could show you my territory map, which doesn't mean anything unless you're in the Fish franchise system. But that's what I spent all my money on, and
awesome.
so basically was broke, but I bought a business.
So, and are you doing better than you did when you were selling cars?
Um, I would say so. I'm a happier person. I'm
More
able to,
freedom?
yep, more freedom. I was able to, I still am able to take care of my mother and do stuff for her. And I was able to spend more time with my dad before he passed away.
Sure.
Whereas in the car business, there wouldn't have been enough time for me to do stuff like that. And I'm able to participate and go to more club meetings that I belong to. So my wife says I'm a happier person, and now I've got a grandchild, so I'm able to spend more time with him and help watch him and stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah, it's something to be said, when a person starts a business or buys into a franchise and gets going on their own, that time freedom, the ability, not that you would want to every single day or let's say a couple days a week not work, but if you had to take a few days off or if you wanted to spend some time with your grandson or, quit the day early and go, like you were talking about earlier, go to a chamber of commerce meeting, those are all the luxuries of owning a business. And to anybody who is like considering doing it themselves, I hear from so many people all the time. A lot of them are people like you, Curt, on my podcast that I'm recording with, asking them, why do you do it? How do you do it? Most people have it where they work a job and they don't like the rigidness of the schedule of, oh, I got to work Monday through Saturday from 7:30 till 5.
Or
What a
eight.
lot of people don't
I
even consider when they're thinking about starting a business is
at
how
a
much
car
freedom
dealer
it gives you.
at a car dealership. It was 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Wow.
Monday through Thursday, and then 8 to 6 Saturday or Friday and Saturday. So if I just worked my schedule, it was like 56 hours a week. So I mean, I probably put in, maybe if you count some of the stuff I do at home, but if you count all of that, I mean, it's different when you're working from home versus having to
Sure.
stay at an office bell to bell.
But still, I mean, you're probably on, I mean, how many hours did you estimate you're putting in right now?
Oh, it's probably close to 50 or shortly or just shy of that. But it's, if on an average week when I was selling cars, I was probably there for more than my schedule. I was probably there 60, 65 hours.
Sure, that makes sense. Well, and the security, of owning your own business. If for some reason the car dealership isn't doing well, or like here in the next, people are saying within the next year to 2 years we're going to have a recession, really downturn in the economy. That's going to affect car sales, and
Well,
some people they're going to be let go, right?
it'd probably affect everything just, because I don't want to say window cleaning is a luxury. However, during COVID, if people had their business down because of COVID, then, they were like, hey, we need to stop the window cleaning because our business is down. So it's going to affect everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
No, that makes sense. But still, though, looking at it as you being the owner, that helps a lot because you can afford to. You're not going to let yourself go. A business is different, and,
right.
and you get what I'm saying. I mean,
Yep.
same thing with landscaping. The company that I own, it's gonna definitely there will be a downturn, but there's a lot more security there. People that I know, even my wife, work for these large corporations with thousands of employees, and if they look at their sheets and they say, "Hey, we're not making a month enough," it's easy just to let somebody go. So kudos to you and to anybody considering running a business. It's not easy. Curt, can you speak to some of the hardships you've had over the 8 years of starting fish window
Hiring
cleaning?
people. Interviewing people is my very least favorite thing to do, and I'm trying to gear up for summertime, spring and summer, and be busy because I don't know, everybody wants to schedule stuff into April and May, and you can only go so fast. You can't, clean any faster than people that you have.
Sure.
So trying to hire people, that's a struggle always. And the problem is, I don't know if you have this, but I got to background check people. So if they're coming into people's houses, I got to make sure that they have a decent background and they're not going to have sticky fingers or whatever. And I'm not
Hmm.
trying to discriminate. I'm all about second chances. However, I have to be able to bond people. I got to protect my business. I got to protect Fish Corporate, and I got to protect the customer. So that's a frustrating struggle.
Yeah, I think most business owners can definitely relate with you on that one. Do you
Yep.
think it's getting any better, the job
Uh,
market?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I went through a couple of weeks of interviewing people. It's like, where are candidates that I can actually hire? Because there's some people, a lot of people that would apply, and I can't do it.
Hmm.
So I keep plugging away.
Okay. I want to
So
kind of change the mode of talk here. I'm curious. Is running a business worth it to you? Is it worth all the headaches? Is it worth all the trials of hiring people and going out and finding more work to keep the or the river flowing? I mean, is it worth it to you?
I like it. I think I'd have a difficult time going back into the real world if and working for somebody else.
Why is
If I
that?
Well, this is my castle. I'm the king.
Hmm.
So if I got to go back into somebody else's realm and obey, all of their rules, that might be a little more difficult.
Before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to share something I'm passionate about with you. If you're someone who is constantly striving for personal growth and loves surrounding yourself with other motivated individuals, you're going to want to hear about this. Check out growthgroupinc.com. This is an exclusive community made up of high achievers and dynamic entrepreneurs just like you. It's a space where like minded individuals come together, collaborate, and support each other on their own journey to success. Growth Group is more than just a community, it's a collective mindset, a commitment to getting better every single day. We believe in the power of connection, collaboration, and constant growth, and we're confident that being part of this community will give you an unparalleled advantage on your path to success. So take a moment, visit growthgroupincorporated.com, and join us as we elevate our lives together. Trust me, this is one investment in your future you will not regret. Now, let's get back to our conversation. Sure. Yeah, and you definitely seem like the kind of guy that takes pride in what he stands for and what you bring to the table. And I think that's a common characteristic in entrepreneurs. It's just people that want to take control of their life and don't want to just sit behind somebody else and have somebody else make the decisions all the time. And
Right.
um, yeah, you can tell you got a good head on your shoulders.
Sometimes.
Yeah, don't we all, right?
Uh,
Um,
life, life is a learning process. I am trying to learn something every day.
So, what are some of the big learnings that you've taken, in your lifetime? I mean, is there anything that you would love to share with other people who might be in the same boat? That it might be somebody who's selling cars or somebody who's washing tables that's has an idea
Life,
of starting a business.
life is better when you're laughing, so try to find something to laugh at every day.
Life is better when you're laughing. That's a good one.
Yep. And
What about as far as like
life's a
risk?
learning process, so it's always better to um, learn something every day.
And I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off there, Kurt. What did you say at the beginning? Life is a process.
Life's a learning process, and you always got to learn something every day.
You know what you were saying about learning process. I love that because oftentimes in my company and I'm in any company we run into problems or mistakes and and in life, for instance, we all have issues and it's what can we learn from them? What could we have done differently? What could we have done to prevent this issue? If something happens, like let's say for some reason somebody breaks a piece of equipment and it costs $1,200. Well, what I often say is the cost of that lesson is $1,200. We just have to learn from it and move forward. You know.
So over the course of 7 years, if something breaks, I have gotten to the point where, okay, it broke, we'll fix it, or we'll get a new one. Don't get bent on the small stuff. Don't get mad about, don't sweat the small stuff, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when recently I was on vacation, my wife made me go on vacation. I guess I should say that I chose to go on
My
vacation.
wife made me.
Well, if you go on vacation and you're not there, then you're really not making any money. You're losing money. But you need to relax. So
Exactly. Self
we went
care.
we went to Arizona, and one of my guys called me and said, "Hey, this really expensive piece of equipment, they're I don't know, $3,500. It tipped over and it broke." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "You want me to send you pictures?" And I go, "I'm in Arizona. There's nothing I can do about it when I'm in Arizona. I'm going to need to see it.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to look at it. Worst case scenario, I got to buy a new one. Oh well." And tried not to let it bother me. And then when I got home, it turned into $100 fix. Ordered parts for it. I took pictures of it, sent it to the place I got it from. They're like, "Oh yeah, that we can do that." And so they sent me. They said, "Do you want just this piece that you broke, or do you want the assembled piece?" And I said, "Send me the assembled one because I don't want to do anything but install that. I don't want to have to take all
Yeah.
the pieces and put it together or whatever." And it was $100 fix. And I thought, well, okay. They just got done doing a great big monster house, one of those huge monster houses out like in Audubon Park.
Just doing like a window cleaning or complete cleaning or
It was a window cleaning. And it was for safety's sake, the fancy water filter keeps my guys' feet on the ground. There's a long pole. We filter the water, and then it continually rinses the dirt
hmm,
away, and then the water sheets off and it dries spot free. And it was a period of time. It was one of the days that it was like 40, 50 degrees, and then the next day was going to be in the teens or 20s. So I told my guy he had to get out there and do it. And of course, me probably rushing him didn't help. But it was a cheap fix for a machine. I didn't have to buy a brand new machine.
hmm.
So don't let the small stuff bother you because it'll work out in the end.
Amen. And as a business owner, it's just like a mentality. It's like taking ownership. Like if something goes wrong, like I said just a minute ago, like what could we have done? What process or what rule could we have enacted that could have prevented this? And then it's just moving forward. It's like life goes on. Just keep
Yep.
moving forward.
Yep.
And when especially when you're in a leadership position, I'm a firm believer in acting that way because it's like a trickle down thing. When people see you taking ownership and admitting when you messed up, but then learning from it, all of a sudden it trickles down and everybody else in your organization wants to act the same way. And that's how I personally believe a person builds a really strong company is by
Well, and
taking ownership and controlling the controllables.
I've told my guys before, and the guy who broke it, he goes, "I find out how much it is, I'll pay for it." And I said, "No, it just needs to be taken care of. It's no big. I'll take care of it. It's no thing." But
Yep.
I've told my guys that I think, if I go to a job site, then nobody should be able to tell that I'm the boss. I
Mhm.
want a culture so strong that the boss does not stand out. I'm just another guy. Um,
Wow. Tell me
so
more. So you tell me more.
I
What,
I
like,
I want my team to be so strong that they know everything I know. They could so if the customer goes up to them, they can answer the questions. They don't all have to go, "That's the boss. You need to ask that guy."
mm,
I
yeah.
want them to be able to answer the questions, and every once in a while they got to ask me what I think, or what how would you handle this, but I want them to be able to answer all the questions with the customer. I don't want the customer, if I'm on a job site, I don't want them to know that I'm the boss, because once somebody finds out you're the boss, if you're on a job site, what happens? You don't get
Yeah.
any work done. Everybody wants to talk to you. So
Right.
I want to have a strong team, so that nobody knows that I'm the boss.
I love
Everybody.
it. No, I think that makes a lot of good sense. Um, so, so you're local, or do you service just the Cedar Valley, which I shouldn't say just, it's quite a big area, but is that your,
That's my territory, is Waterloo, Cedar Falls, Waverly, Janesville, Denver. When Fish Corporate laid out my territory, for some reason, Jessup was included. However, Hudson was not, or LaPorte City. And I go to LaPorte City, I go to Hudson, I go to Grundy Center. I try to keep travel time to maybe an hour, even though there's a few jobs I do in Dubuque,
oh, okay.
or
Wow.
Mason City, and that's for a company out of New York, that hires me to go clean cabin coffee, or
Oh,
Aldi's.
okay. Do
So
you work with a lot of third parties?
yeah, they're facilities maintenance companies. There's several that we work with.
Sure. We do that a lot with snow removal, some of the
Yep.
bigger box stores and stuff.
Yep.
So, for anybody local watching this podcast, what's the best way for them to reach out to fish window cleaning? Just a simple Google search, or
Where Fish Corporate pays, so that I have a presence on Google. If you search on Google, we should come up in the top three. So, or you can give the office a call, 319-243-3900. Nice, neat, simple number. Or if you see the guys out and about, I mean, it's pretty hard to miss my vehicles. They're logoed up,
yeah,
and they look like mobile billboards. But just stop my guys and ask them for a business card or a brochure. They've all got them
okay,
with them.
awesome.
But
So, like I said at the beginning, Kurt, this podcast is a lot of just to motivate people to do what you did, go out and start their own business, or even just if they want to stay working where they work, just take on more responsibility, and just step into their next best self. Are there any last tips? And if there's not any, that's perfectly fine. But I always just like to open up at the end for just any points you might have for any of the listeners, as to what you might want to recommend to them.
well, like I said, life's better when you're laughing. So the nice thing with window cleaning is clean windows makes people smile. I,
There you
I
go.
it lets in up to 40% more light with clean windows, and more light improves everybody's mood. If you got sunshine coming in, hey, you're going to smile.
There you go. Yeah, everybody needs vitamin D, right? That's a good one. You have a
Exactly.
lot of things that you could say.
And if anybody wants a real beard Santa Claus, hey, I do that too.
Do you really?
I
Do you
really do.
actually?
I really do.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
That's great. Where do you go?
I did several private homes this last Christmas. I did a test run on Halloween, and little kids' heads were like, "It's not Christmas," and I'm like, "But this is my costume," and they're like, "What?" And like, "Here, have a candy cane," and they're like, "No, I want the Snickers or something else," And the mom's like, "I'll have a candy cane."
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it. At the grocery store, there was a lady who was having a real difficult time with her kids. Sit down, sit down. No, you can't have that. Sit down. You need to behave. And I just spoke up. I was in line behind her, and I said, "Santa's always watching." And the two little kids were like this.
Really? Really?
When the lady was done checking out, she turned around and goes, "No."
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And there was a church that I went to. I don't know if you've heard of the Livingstone Church. All the people are from French Guiana. They all spoke
Where's
French.
that at? I feel like I've seen that.
Yeah, it's
Downtown
downtown
Waterloo?
Waterloo. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so there was 75 kids. They all had a gift from the church, and 75 kids had to sit on Santa's lap. And so I was there
Wow.
for a couple of hours on Christmas Eve, but it was really cool.
Yeah, that's
So,
neat. No, good for you. And
yep.
what a great thing to do with a nice big white beard, man. I have one someday it'll be white.
Yep. I inherited that, and so I might as well put it to use, right?
Amen.
Make people
Well,
smile.
awesome.
That's what we're doing.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Curt. In the next couple of years, you'll have to hop back on, and we can touch base and see where you're at compared to where you are today. And yeah, thanks for dealing with some of my technical difficulties at the beginning here, but we got through them.
No problem.
So, all right. Well, thanks so much. That was another episode of the Michael Maloney Show. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.